Hi everybody, good morning. Today is Tuesday, still a little bit of a wet and rainy day, but I have some cool things to show you that you can do inside, so maybe things to do on a rainy day. To start, message one, I wanted to talk about what Miss Laura showed you in her video yesterday. If you watched, you'll remember she read that really silly book about animals in the zoo, and she was able to flip the pages in a special way so that it like smooshed two animals together and made a new kind of animal. And it was just so funny to think about, like, oh, can a zebra and a camel be smushed together to make a new animal, and different things like that. And then Miss Laura said, create a new animal. And she kind of gave you a challenge. She said, can you think of two animals to smush together? And what would you call it, right? So I tried it. Maybe you can tell what I smushed together. Yeah, it has a shell like a turtle, but it also has a beak and wings. Yeah, I smushed together a turtle and a bird, and I'm calling it a birdle, or a bird turtle birdle. So that's what I decided to try when Miss Laura gave that suggestion. I think it was a lot of fun to think about smushing two animals together. So I hope you have a chance to try it. It's really funny, especially trying to come up with the name for what you would call it. And Miss Laura and I would love to see it if you decide to do it, right? All right. For message two, I know we usually do a check-in on the tadpole and sprouts, but I've saved those for message three, because for message two, I actually want to do some cooking with you today. I know Miss Laura did that in one of her videos a few days ago, so I was feeling inspired. I was like, you know what? I want to do some cooking with you as well. And I also watch a lot of food channels on the TV. So I've been watching a lot about how to make different kinds of foods. So I thought today I can teach you how to make fruit salsa and cinnamon chips. So salsa, if you've ever had that before, it's usually like a red dipping sauce for tortilla chips, and it's usually made out of like tomatoes and maybe some onion and some other vegetables, and they're cut up really small and mixed together. But we can make salsa with fruit. So it's a little bit sweeter. It's kind of like a dessert dipping sauce. And instead of regular tortilla chips, I'll show you how to make cinnamon chips because those are sweeter as well. So it's kind of like we're making a dessert treat. I'm really excited. So I wrote in red, let's make it. I'll take you to the kitchen and we'll make fruit salsa together. All right, here we go. Hello again. We're in my kitchen, and I put my camera really down low so that you can see everything I'm doing, but you probably won't be able to see my face for a lot of it. Okay, so to start this, we're gonna make the cinnamon tortilla chips first. So I have a round tortilla that I got from the store, and I have like a baking tray that we're going to use, and these are gonna have to go in the oven. But first, we're gonna make them into more of like a chip shape because this would be a really big chip, right? To try to dip into your salsa and eat. So we need to break it into smaller pieces, and you can ask a grown-up to help you cut it with a knife. You might have a pair of like kitchen scissors that you could use to cut, or you can just tear it with your hand. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just going to start by tearing it in half. So now I have like two big chips, but I think we can make them smaller than that. So I'll tear that in half again. Oh, it's kind of like a chip shape now. But I'm gonna tear these one more time so that these are kind of like a good size for somebody who might pick up a chip and dip it into salsa, right? So then I'm gonna lay it here on my tray and finish tearing the rest of my chips. There we go. And they don't all have to be the same size, and they don't have to be perfect chip shapes. We just don't want them to be super huge. We want to be able to dip them and share and enjoy. We're almost done. Oh, might need to make some room. Slide over, everybody. All right, we gotta share. Okay. So now to make these cinnamon and sugar chips, because we want them to be a little bit sweet for when we're dipping them in our fruit salsa, I'm gonna use this little bowl, and I'm going to put in a little bit of just like regular white sugar. Open this up, and I brought a little spoon over to scoop. So I'm just gonna scoop a little white sugar into the bowl like that. Maybe a little bit more. Okay. And then I brought over my cinnamon, and I'm just gonna sprinkle some cinnamon in with the sugar as well. And it's gonna make like a sweet and yummy sprinkle for us to put on top of our chips. And I'm just using my spoon to mix the cinnamon and sugar together. Okay, like that. And now we need this to stick to our chips. So what I have is this little bowl, and it just has water in it. That's all it is. You could also do it with like melted butter, but I'm just gonna use water because it's gonna help everything stick. And I have this special kitchen brush. So I'm gonna use this to dip and then paint my chips with some water. If you don't have a special kitchen brush, you can just use your finger too, okay? So just dip and brush some water on. It's gonna be like our food glue so that the cinnamon and sugar doesn't just fall off all over the place, right? We want it to stick. Brush all of them with water. Right. A few more. Okay, I'll set this down, and then we take our cinnamon sugar and we use our pinching fingers and get some up and just sprinkle it right onto the tortilla chip with the water. And make sure you get all the chips. One more. And I have a little bit left in my bowl, so I can go back and add a little bit more to my chips if I want to, or I can save this for later. Maybe I want to make more chips, or maybe I want to do it again on a different day. You can save this if you don't use it all, okay? All right, so that's all we need to do to get our chips ready, and then they need to bake in the oven. My oven is behind me, and it's heating up to 350 degrees. It's not quite done yet, so I'm just gonna set these over here for now. And when the oven's ready, we'll hear it beep, and then I'll know it's time to put them in, and we'll bake them for like maybe 8 to 10 minutes. But while we're waiting, we can get our fruit salsa ready. So I have some stuff here ready to go, my cutting board. And for my fruit salsa today, I'm going to use an apple and some strawberry and some banana. But you can choose your own fruits to put in it. Oh, that was the beep for the oven. I'm gonna put my chips in real quick, hold on. And I'll set the timer. Okay. Remember, just like in Miss Laura's video, when she cooks, she used the oven too, and she reminded you it's really hot, so make sure you ask a grown-up to help you with that, okay? But now our chips are baking, and I was saying you can choose any kind of fruit you want for your salsa. We just have to think about, we're gonna have to cut it really small, okay? So some things you might be able to help cut at home, because some fruits are so soft that you can use, we call this like a butter knife, and it's not sharp. It's not super sharp. It won't really hurt you. So you might be able to ask like, hey, can I help you cut some of the soft fruit with the butter knife? Okay, so we can do that part first. Strawberries are really soft, but we don't want this green part, so I'm gonna cut that part off first. And we don't need that. And then we're just gonna start slicing our strawberry into really small pieces, because salsa is like foods that are just chopped up really small, so you can scoop up the yummy tiny pieces with a chip, right? So even this is already small, but I want to make it even smaller, so I'm going to cut that, cut it again, and I'm going to keep going. It's a lot of work to make fruit salsa, but it's super delicious. Cut some more. actually, when I was a little girl, this is what my mom used to make with me. I helped her make fruit salsa and we would eat it for dessert a lot of times. This was our sweet treat after dinner, right? Okay, so I cut part of my first strawberry and I have a bowl here. I'll put this in the sink that I can start to scrape my tiny pieces into. There goes the first part of my strawberry, and now I can cut the second part. Yeah. And you can put the pieces in as you're cutting, or scrape them all in at the end like I did earlier. We might have to add this to our birthday book at school. I think this would be a yummy one to have as a birthday choice. What do you guys think? Yeah. Oh, this part is still part of the strawberry you don't want to eat. I'll get rid of that. Alright. Almost done with one strawberry. And I might choose to save my other strawberry for later, or since it's just me by myself over here, I might not eat all of it. So if I make too much, I might not be able to eat it all. So maybe I'll just start with one strawberry and save my other strawberry for later. Okay, so now I have all these yummy strawberry pieces. Let's see, bananas are really soft too, so I'll do the banana next because we can still use the butter knife for it. All right. So peel it, and then I'm just going to start by cutting off a chunk like that. I'll put the rest over here for now. And we'll make some small cuts and slices so we can make those nice and small. Yeah, I think if you ask to help cut up the fruit, you will be a master fruit cutter when this is all done. It's a lot of work doing all these. Bananas are a little sticky and slimy too, so that makes it a little harder. This is a challenge fruit to cut. All right, let's start with that. There we go. So now I have some banana in there, and you can save this for later, or it's a snack for while you're making your snack. And now I also have this apple, but apples are a little harder to cut with a butter knife, so I also brought the sharper knife over. So this might be a fruit that you need to ask a grown-up to help you cut, okay? There we go. Start with that. Ooh, these pieces are sticking to my knife, so I can just bring it over here and whoop, slide them right in. Pretty cool. There we go. Okay, so I think I'll stop doing my cutting there because now we have a good idea of what our fruit salsa will look like, and I'm going to bring my spoon back over and just kind of mix all my fruits together. Yeah, so strawberries and banana and apple. Some other fruits you might like to try could be like kiwi or like melon, like cantaloupe or watermelon, and other fruits like that. But you can really make this with any fruit you want to. So here is my fruit salsa, and this is the way I want it to look. This is how I want it to be. So now we just have to finish waiting for our chips to bake. I can check on them real quick. I can smell the sweet cinnamon and sugar, but they're not quite done baking yet. If they're hot, so I'm not going to touch them, but I think if I try to pick them up, they'll still be floppy like a tortilla, and I want them to be a little crunchier like a chip. So while we're waiting for the tortillas, we can do the next part of our message board. We can check in on the tadpole and sprouts, okay? So let's do that. Okay, So we're over by the tadpole, and today, there we go, it's sitting over here in the corner. Still no changes in the metamorphosis that we can see. That means no legs yet or anything. But remember, it takes a long time for an animal to go through metamorphosis and change from one thing into another thing, right? So we're gonna give it some time and space to finish doing its metamorphosis. But we can check on, here we go, our little sprouts. So here's my white pot. This big one is just really starting to go up and up and up. And one of them was starting to fall over a little bit, so I hope this one's okay. And here's another one, and you know what? There's a new one popping up here and a tiny new one popping up under this big first one. So now we're starting to get lots of sprouts, but we're still waiting for flowers, right? So that was our message number 3, and now we're just waiting for message 2, our fruit salsa and chips, to finish. So let's go back and check on those. All right, I pulled them out of the oven. They ended up staying for about 12 minutes. But the cool thing is they're not floppy tortillas anymore. They're more like crunchy chips, and they're smelling really nice and sweet with all that cinnamon and sugar. So now that they've cooled off a little bit and it's safe for me to touch them because they're not too hot, I can get my fruit salsa and just dip my chip. Ooh, yum, and take a nice big bite. It's really nice and sweet, like a dessert. Yum. I think this will be my lunch today. So I hope you have a chance to try this at home. Make sure to ask a grown-up first, because remember, the oven is hot and sometimes you need to use sharp knives to cut the fruit. But it's super yummy, and I hope you get to try it. Miss Laura will be back with a video tomorrow, and I will see you again on Thursday. Bye, everybody.